Chapter 262. Yiqing Luo tidied herself up and didn't have any time to rest before it was time to report to the class. Lu Xiaoyu's slightly nervous call came from outside the door. Yiqing Luo soaked her sweaty uniform in the water, wiped her hands and got up. Just as she was about to open the door, Chi suddenly ran out from the void and jumped onto the bed. It took out a jade bottle from under the pillow. Ow! Yiqing Luo saw the pill bottle and remembered that the gentleman with the surname Chu had sent a follower to give her the pill yesterday. As her natal battle pet, Chi could feel her physical exhaustion. So it specially came out from the void to remind her to take the pill. Qing Luo, are you not done yet? I'm going to report to see the master soon, I'm so nervous. Lu Xiaoyu urged anxiously outside the door. Yiqing Luo took a pill and threw the bottle on the bed, opened the door and walked out. Lu Xiaoyu stood at the door, her hands clutching her uniform, her face full of nervousness. These few days, Lu Xiaoyu was always by her side. In Yiqing Luo's eyes, she was the kind of person who was completely fearless. The current Lu Xiaoyu had some feeling of a new lease of life. Don't worry, you have met the standard of intermediate profound class 2 in all the assessments. Yiqing Luo rubbed her little head. Not only the students have to compete, there is also competition between the masters. What they compete with is the elite students they bring out. As long as you stay in the intermediate profound class 2, the masters will not treat you badly if they want results. Yes. It's all competition. These masters are also competing to receive gifts. Lu Xiaoyu pouted and looked a little unhappy. I don't know how many gifts Shengguan Liuli has given to the headmaster. Receive gifts. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. It seemed that gift-giving had never been conventional since ancient times. You don't have to worry about Shengguan Liuli for now. If she makes a move on you, just tell me. Yiqing Luo looked at the sky and dragged Lu Xiaoyu's arm out of the dormitory. I'm not afraid of her. If she dares to touch me, I'll beat her until her parents can't recognize her. Lu Xiaoyu clenched her fists and snorted coldly. The reason why she would vent her anger on you is probably because of me. After all, she has a brother from the high profound class. It's better to be careful. For a lady like Shengguan Liuli, she would absolutely not let go of any chance to strike Yiqing Luo. The two of them walked out of the dormitory side by side. Devil class and intermediate profound class 2 were heading in different directions. Yiqing Luo comforted Lu Xiaoyu with a few words and after sending her off with her eyes, she then followed the map and searched for the direction of Devil class. Following the map, the number of students walking to and fro on both sides gradually decreased. The surrounding environment also became more and more secluded. Finally, she stopped at the very corner of the academy, outside an extremely spacious courtyard. Raising his head, he saw a plaque hanging crookedly above the courtyard. Devil class. Every class in the Heavenly Academy had its own courtyard. This was the biggest courtyard Yiqing Luo had ever seen. But it was precisely because it was so big that Yiqing Luo felt that the entire courtyard seemed extremely desolate and cold. When a gust of wind blew, it could even swirl up the broken leaves on the ground. The periphery, which had not been cleaned all year round, was covered with cobwebs and was even more dilapidated than the abandoned courtyard which Yiqing Luo stayed in the Three Springs sect. These few days, when she passed by other classes' courtyards, they were all filled with flowers and plants, looking extremely elegant. But when it came to Devil class, it was this scene. Chapter 263. Yiqing Luo pushed open the courtyard door and walked in. The branches on the ground creaked as she stepped on them. In the quiet and desolate courtyard, it seemed extremely strange. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she took one step at a time, walking very slowly. Along the way, no matter how careful Yiqing Luo was, her clothes were stained with some spider webs. Finally she reached the second courtyard door and Yiqing Luo's hand had just touched the door when she froze. She smelled an extremely light medicinal smell. Yiqing Luo's brows knitted even tighter as she retracted her hand. There was actually a medicinal smell on this door handle. Moreover, there was an extremely unfamiliar medicinal smell which she couldn't smell, so what medicinal herb was it? Wait a minute. There was someone. This thought had just surfaced in Yiqing Luo's mind when Chi on her shoulder had already stood up with its fur standing up as it growled softly and stared at that door. There was someone behind the second door. As a sacred beast, Chi's perceptive ability was above Yiqing Luo's. Was it a devil class's student? Yiqing Luo's expression sunk slightly as she slowly retreated a few steps. Just as her feet moved by half an inch, a swoosh sound was heard and a round object flew towards her. Yiqing Luo's figure bent backwards as she turned her feet and avoided that thing. She saw that round object pierced into the wall behind her. They were 2 coin darts whose outer rings had been sharpened to an extreme extent. Half of it was embedded into the wall. If these 2 darts were to pierce into her body, then it wouldn't just be half embedded. Yiqing Luo steadied herself and stood up straight as she looked towards the direction where the darts came from. She saw the second courtyard door had already been opened and a tall young man stood there as he tossed several gold coin darts in his hands. That face was unattractive and absolutely not pleasing to the eye. But unfortunately, the young man's imposing manner made Yiqing Luo take a few more glances at him. Freshman. The young man's eyes were like a wild beast as he sized up Yiqing Luo as his lips curled into a sly sneer. Yiqing Luo frowned but her expression remained unchanged. Yes. The young man suddenly kept the gold coin darts in his palm and clapped his hands. Brothers, come out and welcome the new student. His words had just ended when 7 to 8 people surrounded that desolate courtyard. Their faces were filled with curiosity and curiosity. Some of them stared at Yiqing Luo and licked their lips from time to time, with a drooling look. New student. We haven't had a new student in a long time. It's rare to see a new student, and such a beautiful one at that. I wonder if the class monitor will like her if I send her to him. Bah! What kind of person was the class leader? How could he possibly fall for such a woman? The few of them stared at Yiqing Luo and discussed for some time before they heard the young man at the door saying, "Let the new student feel our welcome to her properly." The few of them immediately leapt up like wild beasts, pouncing towards Yiqing Luo. Damn it! Yiqing Luo couldn't help but cursed in her heart. Who would welcome a new student in such a way? This momentum was clearly the rhythm of wanting to kill her. Yiqing Luo's figure swiftly retreated backwards as her footwork revolved, deftly evading those few people. Being surrounded by those people, she couldn't fight back at all. These people were watching him from all directions. Those few people pounced on empty air as a sliver of astonishment flashed past their eyes. As though they had not expected that the new student who had been allocated to the devil class could actually evade the 8 of them's simultaneous encirclement. Chapter 264. Those bursts of profound qi were getting more and more intense. Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned as her vision revolved around their chests. On seeing the light emitted from their profound jade heart, her eyes widened in astonishment. Her heart was in a mess as though 10,000 alpacas were running wildly. Damn it! What happened to the trash class? Among these 8 people, the lowest mystic rank was Mystic rank 3. The highest was Mystic Profound 9th grade. The academy was certain that these people were the last few in the recruitment of new students. Were they certain that this was the devil class which was labeled as trash? If these people were all trash, then those students from the lower and intermediate classes would be a joke. Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly as her lips curled into a cold arc of ridicule. She really didn't know how Heavenly Academy became the best academy. Those people from the elder quarters were all blind. They actually allocated these talents to the devil class. However, Yiqing Luo's smile, in everyone's eyes, was ridiculing them. Instantly their eyes were filled with anger as they recalled the class monitor's instructions. Without any mercy, they attacked towards Yiqing Luo's direction at the same time. Yiqing Luo's footwork was strange as her feather fan flipped a few times on her fingertips and shot out a burst of biting cold profound qi. That profound qi followed the movements of Yiqing Luo's fingers and turned into a whirlwind as it revolved around those 8 people. Immediately following that, her palm moved and rolled up the withered yellow leaves on the ground. A gust of airflow rose from Yiqing Luo's feet as an intense gale swept up Yiqing Luo's uniform. Her long dress fluttered in the wind, and the green and white academy uniform on her body seemed exceptionally beautiful on her. The lady's eyes were enchanting and her eyes were as bright as the stars, sparkling with a charming glint. Her palm flipped and those pieces of leaves turned into sharp blades as it flew towards those 8 people. Those 8 people's eyes were filled with shock as they wanted to evade, but Yiqing Luo's fingers which were holding onto her feather fan tightened. The few of them totally couldn't move as though they were bound by something. As the 8 of them struggled, they discovered that the whirlwind which Yiqing Luo had stirred up had coincidentally trapped the few of them within it. This strand of profound energy had firmly blocked their path. By the time they struggled free from the restraints of this profound qi, those pieces of sharp leaves came flying towards them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, a few gold coin darts flew past those 8 people and coincidentally knocked down all the leaves that Yiqing Luo's palm wind brought up. The youth standing at the door took a few steps and stood in front of the 8 people. The 8 of them were panting heavily as their fists were clenched tightly and the green veins on their foreheads were popping out, as they had the morale to fight with Yiqing Luo once again. Mystic Profound Rank 4. The young man narrowed his eyes and curled his fingers. The money darts that were stuck on the wall and the ground quickly returned to his palm. Yiqing Luo's eyes suddenly narrowed as she stared at the young man in astonishment. He could actually see her profound rank. Could it be that he also had the ability to see through her profound jade heart? With your profound rank, you can at least enter the intermediate profound class. How did you get assigned to the devil class? The youth didn't seem to notice her doubts and directly asked the question he wanted to ask. Your profound grade shouldn't be in the devil class, so why are you in the devil class? Yiqing Luo raised her brows and asked. The young man remained silent for a while as he stared at Yiqing Luo's gaze, revealing a strange probing and sizing her up. The few people behind him had suffered under Yiqing Luo's hands earlier and were fuming. Vice Class Monitor. Why are you wasting your breath on her? Just kill her and throw her away. Chapter 265. Those 8 people's faces were like frosted eggplants as they clenched their teeth tightly, not uttering a single word. After all, they had indeed suffered a loss in Yiqing Luo's hands earlier. No matter what method Yiqing Luo used, a loss was a loss. If it wasn't for the assistant class monitor's help, their necks would have been severed by those leaves. Since the welcome is over, can I go in now? Yiqing Luo looked at the assistant class monitor. This young man was obviously the leader of these people. Yes. The assistant class monitor moved his body aside. The second door was open and Yiqing Luo looked in. It was a totally different environment from this desolate outer courtyard. It was a spacious training ground and there were 2 weapon racks placed outside the ground. There were all kinds of weapons on top. On the ground, there was a huge devil word carved using profound qi. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. As expected. This devil class was like the class of gods, hidden so mysteriously that even those teachers in the academy might not know what students were in the devil class. This was enough to prove that the devil class was extraordinary. Those masters and elders who treated the devil class as trash, if they knew that they had lost some students of the mystic rank and their abilities were considered to be above average, how upset would they be? Yiqing Luo walked over and when she passed by the second door, her footsteps suddenly stopped. The cunning smile on the assistant president's face froze on his face. Yiqing Luo's nose was filled with that faint herbal smell. No wonder they gave up their positions so readily. No wonder they had scared away several teachers in the devil class. This kind of welcome, if it was an ordinary person, they would not be able to take it. Is this your new way of welcoming new students? Yi-Ching Luo ridiculed as her lips twitched. A trace of astonishment flashed past the assistant class monitor's eyes as he laughed loudly. How did you detect it? Smell. Yi-Ching Luo pointed at her own nose. You can try next time, change it to a drug that will make you fall for it, to welcome new students. You're also an alchemist. The assistant class monitor stared at Yi-Ching Luo with interest. You can say so. Her current alchemy level had been neglected for a long time. The assistant class monitor laughed loudly as he took out a handkerchief from his sleeve and threw it to one of the men behind him. The man took the handkerchief and walked over to wipe the doorknob and threshold. Congratulations on joining the devil class. Vice class monitor stretched out his hand towards Yi-Ching Luo. Yi-Ching Luo swept a glance at his palm as her lips curled up slightly, revealing an enchanting smile. Congratulations to the both of you, for having one more companion. Vice class monitor wasn't angry because of Yi-Ching Luo's refusal to shake his hand, as he didn't feel awkward at all as he retracted his hand. Hearing Yi-Ching Luo's words, a mysterious smile surfaced on his face. I hope so. This hope, what the hell was this? The meaning was, and a welcoming gift for new students. One stage after another, this was even more difficult than the academy entrance examination. Yi-Ching Luo's mouth twitched a few times. Just tell me what else you have behind, or call your class monitor out. If you can make a move, don't talk nonsense, don't waste both parties' time. As soon as these words came out, the young man and the 8 people behind him revealed looks of horror. You want to fight the class leader? This female student was too arrogant. Who's our class leader? Do you think you can do it whenever you want? Among the 8 people, the only female spat disdainfully. She was the one who said Yi-Ching Luo was just a superficial person. From her tone, one could tell that this lady admired the class monitor a lot. Chapter 267. Yi-Ching Luo roughly understood the general rules of devil class from the assistant class monitor. This assistant class monitor was called Xiao Jin and he had been in devil class for 3 years. The learning situation in devil class was exactly the same as the other classes. Other than the freshmen, all the students in devil class had to train in this training ground. Because the freshmen had to go through 1 month's mandatory freshman training when they entered the Heavenly Academy. The other classes and rest times were no different from the other classes. Who is the class monitor that you mentioned? Yi-Ching Luo asked curiously. According to the news that Dong Huang Lang had gathered, devil class had only started to disappear in recent years and was mysterious and unfathomable. Presumably, the reason should be because of this class monitor. This class monitor was revered by all the students in the class and was able to drive all the students to maintain the same training as the other classes. This class monitor, what kind of person was he? Yi-Ching Luo's interest was piqued. Xiao Jin gave a mysterious smile but didn't reply. At this moment, those few people in the training ground stared gloomily at Yi-Ching Luo. Bai Shi has fainted. Earlier the lady who made a move on Yi-Ching Luo was called Dan Bai Shi. 2 years ago she was allocated to devil class and had fallen in love with the class monitor at first sight and was totally his loyal fan. The people surrounding her were all the students who had been allocated to devil class in these few years. These people had experienced life and death together and their relationship was like biological siblings. Now that they saw Dan Bai Shi fainted by Yi-Ching Luo, the anger in their hearts surged up once again. A cultivator can't even take such a small injury, her body is too weak. Yi-Ching Luo's vision swept past Dan Bai Shi's face. This lady's face was pale without any color of blood and the tight-fitting uniform made her figure look extremely slender. Her body is too weak and she needs to train hard to consolidate her body's quality. When Yi-Ching Luo's words fell, those few gloomy and sullen faces revealed an astonished expression. A skinny young man lowered his eyes and looked at Dan Bai-shi, who was lying in his arms, as he clicked his tongue. Class monitor also said the same thing. Sheet, why did she say the same thing as class monitor? The few of them shook their heads. Xiao Jin's pitch-black eyes were filled with a probing intent. He habitually touched the coin dart. All right, send Bai-shi back to her room and let Lulu take a look at her. With that said, he tossed the coin dart in his hand into the air and caught it. He looked towards Yiqing Luo and smiled with interest. Go and report to the class first. I'm sure there are quite a number of students who are interested in the newcomer. Yiqing Luo could tell that the meaning behind his words was very strange as the corners of her eyes twitched a few times. Don't tell me, the reception hasn't ended yet? Our welcoming ceremony has ended, but it doesn't mean that the other students are willing to end it. F***ck, Yiqing Luo's entire being was in a mess. Just how many students were there in the devil class? Could it be that they were not the representatives sent by the students? Might as well call the class leader out and fight. This was the simplest method. However, Xiao Jin totally didn't bother about her, as he directly pointed out a route, telling Yiqing Luo how to report to the academy, and left with those few people carrying Dan Bai-shi. Crossing the training ground and walking along the small path, roughly half a quarter of an hour later, the third door appeared in front of Yiqing Luo's eyes. From that tightly shut door, Yiqing Luo could still hear the noise from inside. It was a noisy mess. Chapter 268. The lights in the classroom were brightly lit, and there were about 40 over students who were playing around happily. When Yiqing Luo pushed the door and entered, everyone's gazes merely swept past her before they retracted their gazes and continued to play around. Yiqing Luo acutely sensed that when these people looked at her, their gazes were filled with a sense of gloating. Right now, it was merely the calm before the storm. What made Yiqing Luo most astonished was that there were so many students in this devil class. In the entire classroom, there were about 70 over tables and chairs, and there were quite a number of empty seats. Yiqing Luo swept a glance across the classroom, and her gaze was fixed on the last row of the classroom, at the corner. All the tables and chairs were neatly lined up, except for that one table and chair, which was alone in the corner. Yiqing Luo didn't think too much as she directly walked over and sat down. Instantly, the bustling classroom fell into a dead silence. All the students' gazes were all fixed on Yiqing Luo. Their expressions were filled with disbelief and astonishment, as their mouths opened into an O shape. There were even some students who lost their footing due to the shock and fell onto the ground, staring blankly at Yiqing Luo, forgetting to climb up. The baptism of these gazes made Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she lowered her eyes to look at herself. There wasn't any place which was worthy of their attention. Could it be that the place which she was sitting at was not right? At this moment, a skinny, malnourished young lady who was huddled in the corner walked over. She endured the gazes from the others as she reminded her softly, "New student, this is Sir Class Monitor's place. You'd better get up quickly, otherwise these people will teach you a harsh lesson." That legendary class monitor's position. No wonder there was a table and chair alone in the corner. Coming to other people's turf, Yiqing Luo wasn't that kind of brainless, arrogant person. Moreover, she was very curious about the identity of this revered class monitor. Because of this, Yiqing Luo didn't insist on sitting here forcefully. Just as she was about to stand up, a biting cold palm wind suddenly came from the side of her cheek. Yiqing Luo was astute as she evaded sideways. That palm wind hit empty air, and with a boom, a clear 5-finger print was imprinted on the wall. "Lowly trash, who allowed you to sit in Sir Class Monitor's place? You've dirted Sir Class Monitor's seat." A tall lady slammed the table fiercely as she stood up. Her expression was cold, completely different from Lu Shuiyu's. Her coldness exuded a domineering aura. Yiqing Luo was about to get up and leave her seat when her slender brows creased slightly. She was planning to leave this position. But that didn't mean she liked being forced to leave her position. This woman didn't allow for any explanation and started to make a move, so Yiqing Luo didn't intend to get up. The frail young lady who stood in front of her trembled as her voice trembled. Sister Yiqing. She's a new student, and doesn't know the rules of the devil class. Can you give her a chance? Before she could finish her sentence, a student walked up impatiently and pushed the young lady away. Ni Rupin, you haven't even completed your own mission, and you're already thinking of helping your new classmate. If you want to help, you have to see if you have the ability to. The girl named Ni Rupin was pushed to the ground. She shrunk back and bit her lower lip, but she still stubbornly said, Big Sister Yiqing. I beg you, don't punish the new student. This was their turf and Yiqing Luo originally didn't intend to clash with them. After all, they still had to get along for a period of time in the future. However, it didn't mean that she would let anyone bully her. Yiqing Luo's principle was that she would not offend others if others did not offend her. Since these students had to offend her, and even implicated a female student who was trying to protect her, then she couldn't take it anymore. Yiqing Luo's action was obviously a tight slap on this bunch of students' faces. That was their revered class monitor's table and chair. But it was overturned by this new student. The surrounding students were filled with rage, as though they couldn't wait to tear Yiqing Luo into pieces. Lowly waste, I will make you pay the price for what you've done. Tong Yiqing's face was filled with gloomy clouds as her palm flipped over and a soft whip appeared in her palm. Chapter 270. Yiqing Luo's heart felt a burning sensation, extremely intense. She narrowed her eyes, and a yellow light emitted from Tong Yiqing's heart. Yellow grade profound jade heart. Profound jade heart was divided into 7 grades. The higher the grade, the higher the power and the easier it was to advance to the profound grade. This yellow grade profound jade heart was ranked 3rd. Like Yiqing Luo's profound jade heart which was formed by Dmo Xian, it was only ranked 2nd among the orange grade profound jade heart. As for Yi Fengyu, he had taken the pill which she refined before he broke through to the orange grade profound jade heart. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled, the gaze which she shot towards Tong Yiqing was filled with deep thoughts. Tong Yiqing was actually a yellow grade profound jade heart. Why was she allocated to the devil class? This devil class was indeed not as simple as it looked on the surface. There were crouching tigers and hidden dragons everywhere. That soft whip in Tong Yiqing's hand was like a living thing. Under Tong Yiqing's control, it quickly wrapped around Yiqing Luo. The strength of the soft whip was extremely strong, giving out a hissing sound in the air. Tong Yiqing was extremely skilled in using the soft whip. As she waved it, the soft whip shot out bursts of flames, not hurting the other students at all. Her target was only Yiqing Luo alone. That soft whip was like a snake, with the power to topple mountains and overturn the seas. It met head-on. The surrounding students were extremely confident in Tong Yiqing's whip skills. Their eyes were filled with gloating smiles. This new student really deserved it. Did she really think the devil class's students were all trash? A new student who had just arrived dared to be so arrogant, and even dared to smash the class monitor's table. Even if she killed her, it would not be enough to vent the anger in her heart. Let Goddess Tong teach her a good lesson. Teach this new student what was the meaning of, when you're in someone else's territory, obediently tuck your tail between your legs and await punishment. Just as the surrounding students thought that this whip would be able to split Yiqing Luo's skin and flesh. But that soft whip which was heading towards Yiqing Luo with the force of lightning had actually stopped in midair. The scuttling sparks gradually stopped. Tong Yiqing's body froze. The hand which was holding the soft whip suddenly could not move. She was extremely stunned as she looked towards the taut whip. At the other end of the whip, a fair and slender little hand was holding it tightly. The force was so great that Tong Ziqing was actually unable to break free. Yiqing Luo's lips curled up into an enchanting smile, her charming eyes were overflowing with color, the hand holding the soft whip suddenly moved. The taut whip softened. Chapter 271. When Yiqing Luo heard Tong Ziqing's words, she squinted her eyes and said indifferently, "Essence grade also have spiritual qi, and after my profound qi, it has already caused a backlash. If you don't want to live, I don't mind continuing to fight with you at the training grounds." Essence grade and above weapons all had their own spiritual qi. Once the spiritual qi was invaded by a stronger aura, the weapon's spiritual qi would activate its self-protection mode. Earlier Yiqing Luo injected her profound qi into Tong Ziqing's body through the whip. Naturally it would cause a backlash. Tong Ziqing's internal injury was definitely not light. If she insisted on continuing the battle with her with injuries, her life would be in danger. Tong Ziqing naturally understood her own body's condition. That burst of tearing pain in her chest made her unable to concentrate on circulating the profound qi in her profound heart jade. She clasped her chest tightly as she stared coldly at Yiqing Luo. Tong Ziqing knew that what Yiqing Luo said was the truth, but to leave in front of the entire class. What face did she have to continue to stay here? Go back to recuperate. A clear and deep voice was heard from the door. That voice wasn't loud, but it was filled with a kind of dignity which no one could refute. The entire classroom immediately turned silent. "Yes, Sister Ziqing, let Lulu take a look at you later." That blue-robed young lady gave a mischievous smile. "The future is long. After you have recuperated, then continue the battle with this new student, isn't that better?" Hearing the young lady's words, Tong Ziqing's pupils suddenly expanded as she subconsciously looked towards the young man in front. The future is long. These 4 words meant that the class monitor had acknowledged the existence of this new student. That's right, the class monitor admired the strong most. This new student was indeed very strong. Tong Ziqing didn't say another word as she politely nodded towards the person standing at the door, and with the help of the other students, she left the classroom. Yiqing Luo then shifted her vision onto those few people who had just entered. There were a total of 4 people. 2 males and 2 females. Standing in front was a young man, estimated to be around 21 or 22 years old. He was dressed in a black long robe with purple embroidery, a head full of ink black hair was tied up by a purple gold crown, looking extremely elegant. His entire body was encircled with an icy cold aura which kept people away. His handsome face was so handsome that it could suffocate a young girl's heart. What caught Yiqing Luo's attention the most was that pair of azure blue eyes. It was a pair of extremely pure blue eyes. They were clear and moist, and in the blink of an eye, they seemed to be suffused with waves of ripples. The monitor of Devil class. Needless to guess, Yiqing Luo knew with one look that this person was the class monitor who was revered by the students in Devil class. He didn't expect the class monitor to be so young. Yiqing Luo recognized the man and woman behind the class monitor. The youth behind the class monitor was Vice Class Monitor Qiao Jin. As for that young lady, she was dressed in a pink long dress and there were 2 pink furry balls hanging on her collar and sleeves. With such a cute personality, wasn't she Yiqing Luo's roommate, Mo Yuing? So, Mo Yuing was a student of the Devil class. No wonder Shengguan Liuli angrily called her trash the moment she saw her. No wonder she had once said that there were no teachers in her class. However, Yiqing Luo didn't believe that a person with that pair of cold eyes would be a waste. Moreover, for her to be able to stay by the class monitor's side, her status was clearly comparable to Qiao Jin's. It was enough to prove that Yiqing Luo's intuition was right. As for the other blue-robed young lady, she was the young lady who had caught Tong Ziqing earlier. Chapter 272. How interesting. Within Yiqing Luo's body, there seemed to be a pot of hot blood gradually boiling. She believed that in the near future, the growth in this devil class would absolutely be much more than the other classes. To have such a batch of weird characters, but their abilities were all above average. It would definitely be a huge help to her cultivation. Just entered the class and already injured 3 of our classmates. This new student's temper, isn't it a little too bad-tempered? Xiao Jin smiled as he leaned closer to Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly, since it's my first time here, I naturally have to send my generous gift. Xiao Jin laughed loudly as he tossed the gold coin darts in his palm. Your character is really similar to Class Monitor, no wonder Class Monitor would specially pay attention to you. The moment he said that, the surrounding students all turned their gazes towards Yiqing Luo. Following that, they all dug their ears in unison, as though they had rehearsed this countless of times. What? Did they hear wrongly? Class Monitor would pay attention to a new student? Vice Class Monitor, she's the new student who said that devil class isn't waste and we are all born with talent. The blue-robed young lady blinked her eyes as she quickly walked in front of Yiqing Luo, staring at her with a pair of watery eyes. Seeing Xiao Jin nodding his head, the young lady's gaze flashed as she stared at Yiqing Luo. What you said is right, although we are devil class's students, but whether we are waste or not, it's not up to them, but we ourselves have the final say. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as her gaze fell onto Xiao Jin. These words were what she said to Dong Huang Lang at the freshman training grounds. Why? Did it spread to the devil class? She suddenly recalled that when she left the training grounds, she bumped into a young man whose looks weren't outstanding. It seemed. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at Xiao Jin carefully for some time, raised her finger and pointed at him. It's you? Xiao Jin shrugged his shoulders as he gave a non-committal smile. It's because of your words, that moved Class Monitor. Mo Ewing tilted her head as her soft voice was calm. Those words moved Class Monitor. Sit. Without waiting for Yiqing Luo to investigate further, Class Monitor's clear voice was heard. All the students, with lightning speed, swiftly returned to their own seats. Ni Ruopen held her injured arm as she slowly walked to the corner and stood there. In the entire classroom, only the Class Monitor and Yiqing Luo were left standing. New student, feel free to find a place to sit. The class leader's thin lips moved, and the corner of his mouth curved into a faint smile. However, this smile did not reach his eyes. Instead, it caused his entire being to emit a sense of distance that made him feel unapproachable. Yiqing Luo glanced sideways at Ni Ruopan, who was shivering in the corner of the wall. Out of all the students in the devil class, only Ni Ruopan seemed to be incompatible with the class. And he was even treated as trash by these students. Seeing how Ni Ruopan was initially afraid of Tong Ziqing, but for her sake, she stubbornly begged Tong Ziqing, Yiqing Luo's heart softened a little. She was not a kind-hearted person, but she was not cold-blooded either. Good to her, she will remember in mind. Yiqing Luo walked directly towards Ni Ruopan and pulled her wrist as she walked towards the empty space in front. Ni Ruopan's shoulders were pressed down forcefully by Yiqing Luo as her buttock stuck onto the wooden chair. Her entire body was shaking like a sieve. Her originally fair little face had now turned even paler. The surrounding students' expressions instantly turned ugly. New student, Sir Class Monitor asked you to sit, but it doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. This is a punishment for the weak. She's the last place in the class, so she has no right to sit in class. Ni Ruopan's entire body trembled as her eyes opened wide, as she was so scared that tears started to flow out. Chapter 273. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her gaze was like a sharp blade. I said to let her sit, so she can sit. Those students who were filled with dissatisfaction were swept by this gaze as their voices were instantly choked in their throats. This freshman was different from the previous freshman. To be able to defeat their goddess Tong, her ability was absolutely strong. Their gazes turned towards the class monitor, anticipating that the class monitor would teach the freshman a lesson, to suppress her arrogance. However, the class monitor seemed as though he didn't see this happening as he said calmly, "Today there's a freshman in the class and her ability, I believe everyone has witnessed it for themselves." The students' gazes were filled with reverence as they stared at the class monitor. Because of this freshman has been specially approved to join the class committee. Everyone get along well, and as for the class rules, find some time to tell her. After the class monitor finished this sentence, he turned around and left the classroom. Before he left, his peripheral vision seemed to glance at Yi-Ching Luo. His azure blue eyes were flowing with shallow ripples, as though it contained a deep meaning which no one could understand. After a while, he retracted his vision and walked out of the classroom without turning back. The classroom's main door was slowly shut. A thud sound of the door jolted the students who were already in a daze. After some time, they regained their senses as they stared at Yi-Ching Luo in disbelief. Why is a freshman able to join the class committee? What's her relationship with Sir Class Monitor? Such an unreasonable freshman. Sir Class Monitor actually didn't get angry. The students started to point fingers at Yi-Ching Luo, guessing at her identity. No one doubted the class monitor's decision, but they were all doubting Yi-Ching Luo's identity, doubting if she had the right to stand beside the class monitor. Yi-Ching Luo's slender brows creased slightly. What the hell was the class committee? Why did everyone's gazes become so strange when they heard this news? Ni Ruo Pan, who was still shivering by the side, heaved a sigh of relief until the class monitor left. The class monitor didn't stop her from sitting down, which meant that she could sit and listen to lessons in future. Thinking of this, Ni Ruo Pan's heart calmed down. Seeing Yi-Ching Luo rubbing her chin with a look of deep thoughts, she pressed her chest and said softly, "The class committee is the group that manages this class. There are a total of 4 people." From Ni Ruo Pan's mouth, Yi-Ching Luo found out. The young class monitor was called Long Yunjian. Other than coming to inspect the training results of the students every day, he was rarely seen at other times. Usually, it was the vice class monitor who loitered around the school and guided everyone. As for the class committee, it was the people who managed these students. Just like what Yi-Ching Luo had guessed, Xiao Jin and Nimo Yuing were both members of the class committee. That blue-clothed young lady just now was called Yan Xiaoyi and was also a member of the class committee. The other person was Baiming Lulu, the young master of the Miracle Doctor clan. In the usual training or group duels, even if they were beaten half to death, as long as they still had a breath left, Baiming Lulu could use her magical medical skills to bring them back from the gates of hell. You've just arrived and you're able to join the class committee. Class monitor must think highly of you. Ni Ruo Pan looked at Yi-Ching Luo in adoration. She had not expected this freshman to be so powerful. Highly regarded. Yi-Ching Luo's squinted eyes reflected a piercingly cold glint. She didn't believe that Long Yunjian would entrust such an important task to her without understanding her at all. Rather than saying highly regarded, it should be said that he had another motive. Sister Zi-Ching had wanted to join the class committee for a long time, but her ability had never reached the class monitor's requirements. Chapter 274. This lass, in this class, was obviously bullied so badly, but she still spoke up for Long Yunjian. Apparently she admired Long Yunjian a lot. The first time they met, Yi-Ching Luo wasn't able to understand Long Yunjian thoroughly. Her heart was filled with curiosity. What kind of charm did Long Yunjian have, to be able to make this class, with all kinds of different characters, so obedient? Thinking back to when she was the Yi family's patriarch, she gave her all for the Yi family, giving up her normal life, but she still wasn't able to make everyone in the family submit to her. Ni Ruo Pan seemed to have seen through Yi-Ching Luo's thoughts. Her lips curled slightly, that pale and frail little face revealed a gentle and shy smile. This smile made the lines on her face softer. She was indeed a beauty. Although I was allocated to the devil class 2 months ago, but I can feel that the class monitor is the salvation of the devil class. Before the class monitor came to the devil class was really a place where trash gathered. After entering the academy, those who performed badly in the entrance examinations and the freshman training were all thrown to the devil class to fend for themselves. All the students in the academy can bully us, humiliate us, and if they are in a bad mood, they can vent their anger on us anytime. Ni Ruopan pursed her pale lips tightly, both her hands which were placed on her knees, clenched tightly into fists, as though she was recalling her past self. No one will stand up for us, to those outstanding students, trash like us, shouldn't even live in this world. Later on, I came to the devil class. Here, everyone had been treated as trash, all of them had been hurt before, but they are not any worse off than anyone else now. Ni Ruopan's eyes glowed with warmth, filled with hope. I believe I will also become as incredible as them. Yiqing Luo's gaze swept past the surrounding students. From their aura, she could feel that these people were absolutely not trash. Like those 8 people at the entrance earlier, even if they wanted to enter the high profound class, it wasn't impossible. Not to mention Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi. Looked like Long Yunzhan had a special way to guide these people who were once treated as trash. And these people were once bullied, and had always been linked with the word trash. Once someone saved them, they would follow that person for the rest of their lives. Moreover, these people were used to the coldness and warmth of the world. If they were to become stronger, they would definitely be a force that could destroy the world. New student, there's one more important point, the most important sentence, you must remember it. Ni Ruopan suddenly thought of something as both of her hands grabbed onto Yiqing Luo's hands. Her little hands were very thin and weak, and her bones were small and cold. Yiqing Luo was stunned by this sudden action and almost flung Ni Ruopan out. Ni Ruopan clenched her fists tightly, and her eyes were filled with seriousness. You must remember, everything that happens in the devil class must not be divulged to the outside. This is the rule of the devil class. Yiqing Luo nodded her head. She had long guessed this point. If it wasn't for this rule, the devil class wouldn't have been able to remain mysterious for so many years. When these students walked out, each and every one of them had a high profound grade, who would associate them with the devil class. New student, take out your academy's wooden token and badge, I'll inject you into the class. Qiao Jin walked over and stretched out his hand towards Yiqing Luo. Chapter 275. Yiqing Luo took out the badge on her chest and passed it over. Qiao Jin picked up the wooden badge and swept it with his palm. That wooden badge shone brightly and the surrounding students immediately crowded forward to take a look at Yiqing Luo's information. As Qiao Jin's fingers touched Yiqing Luo's academy badge, a golden light flashed and rows of golden characters appeared. Name, Yiqing Luo. Gender, female. Age, 15. Profound grade, yellow profound 9th grade class, devil class. Identity, 3 Springs sex. Young matriarch, Yi family. 7th Miss, yellow profound 9th grade. Yellow profound 9th grade. This freshman is only yellow profound 9th grade. The students who were nearer were all stunned when they saw the profound grade displayed on the wooden badge. When he said that, everyone stared at Yiqing Luo in disbelief. How could this be? How could she possibly be only at yellow profound grade? I thought she was at least above earth profound grade. She's so arrogant. The moment she joined devil class and was even valued by the class monitor. She's actually only at yellow profound grade. One must know that their goddess Tong's profound grade was at mystic profound 9th grade. She was just one step away from breaking through to earth profound grade. But she was defeated by a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator? And she was defeated so easily. How could this be possible? No one could believe that the overbearing and powerful Yiqing Luo was actually just a yellow profound cultivator. Devil class had a total of 60 students and there were about 20 over yellow profound grade cultivators. But these 20 over students were mostly lacking the opportunity to break through. As long as they found that opportunity, they would be able to advance to mystic profound grade. These 20 over students were especially shocked. Same profound grade, how could this freshman actually defeat Tong Ziqing, who was one grade higher than herself? Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes as his fingers rubbed the wooden badge for a while. The profound grade had always been showing the words, yellow profound 9th grade. Yellow profound 9th grade. Xiao Jin's gaze met with Mo Yuing, Yin Xiao Yi and the others. Other than Mo Yuing, who was still expressionless, Xiao Jin and Yin Xiao Yi's eyes flashed with astonishment. Yiqing Luo. I've heard this name before. She's the 7th young mistress of the Yi family who was targeted by the faculty council 2 days after entering the hospital. I remember her. On the day of the ability assessment, she even rejected Master Guo Yu's request to take her as his disciple, saying that she was the Overlord's disciple. The student shifted his gaze from Yiqing Luo's profound grade to her name. At that moment, the class was in an uproar again. These students usually hid their badges in their classes, disguising their identities as devil class students, and came and went freely in the academy. Naturally, he had heard of Yiqing Luo's name and heard some rumors about her. He didn't expect that this delicate and sweet-looking girl in front of him was actually that arrogant, egotistical, and infuriating freshman who had recently become famous in the academy. Yiqing Luo's expression remained calm, as though the person whom everyone was discussing wasn't her. The fact that she wasn't a yellow profound grade 9, but a mystic profound grade 4, naturally wouldn't be exposed. Hence, these students casually guessed that she had defeated Tong Ziqing with her yellow mystic 9th grade cultivation. In actual fact, if it was a one-on-one official competition, Yiqing Luo might not necessarily be able to gain the upper hand against Tong Ziqing. This time, she was merely relying on Tong Ziqing's arrogance and overconfidence. It was only when Tong Ziqing was defenseless that he managed to succeed. Tong Ziqing's profound rank was a solid foundation that she had consolidated. Chapter 276. Xiao Jin narrowed his eyes as he returned the wooden token and badge back to Yiqing Luo. Yellow profound 9th grade. This freshman really had the ability to change the profound grade on the academy's wooden token. Even Long Yunzhan wasn't able to change the profound grade on the academy's wooden token. They could at most seal their own wooden tokens in the enchantment which Long Yunzhan had set up. That enchantment could seal the updated data of their wooden tokens. In the academy's elder quarters and teacher courtyard, all the students in the devil class had their profound grades fixed at the profound grades when they first entered the devil class. Of course, those people in the academy usually couldn't be bothered to pay attention to the changes in devil class's profound grade. He didn't say anything as he walked to the side of the table. That's all for today. Those who want to stay at the training grounds for training, go ahead. Those who want to return to the dormitory, report to the training grounds at 5 p.m. The students who were seated below the stage were used to it as they responded with a loud yes. They then heard Xiao Jin continuing, "Ni Ruo Pan, the morning's training is not completed, continue until it is completed." The students started to hiss as their gazes fell onto Ni Ruo Pan. Following that, they shifted their gazes onto Yiqing Luo. The ridicule in their eyes was obvious. Apparently, they often ridiculed Ni Ruo Pan in this way. Human nature was like this. In the past, these people made the surrounding people use this kind of gaze to treat them. Because of this, when they saw people who were weaker than themselves, they found a little bit of comfort in their hearts. Ni Ruo Pan bit her lower lip as her eyelids drooped down as her pale little face surfaced 2 bundles of red. Her little hands held onto her skirt as she kept rubbing it. "All right, you can all disperse." Qiao Jin clapped his hands and all the students instantly stood up. Yiqing Luo saw this and followed suit as she stood up. She heard the students speaking in unison, "Thank you all for your hard work, we will arrive at the training grounds punctually at 5 p.m. When Qiao Jin walked down from the side of the table, the classroom resumed its previous hustle and bustle. The students all dispersed as though they were liberated, and there were some who formed groups of 2s and 3s as they pointed at Yiqing Luo. Ni Ruopan's hands were placed on the table. Her slender and fair wrists were so skinny that one could faintly see the white bones protruding out. The strands of hair by her cheeks covered half of her face. Yiqing Luo could still tell that her eyes were filled with tears. Still not leaving. Yiqing Luo frowned slightly. To be honest, she had never dealt with such a weak and crybaby before, and she did not like dealing with such a person. However, this little girl's kindness made it impossible for her to ignore her. Ni Rupin turned her head away as she did not want Gu Shizhou to see her crying. He tried his best to sound calm, but there was a hint of sobbing in his voice. "It's okay, I'll leave in a while. She wouldn't dare to walk in front of us. When there's no one left in the classroom, she'll leave." The student in the front row sneered. Ni Rupin lowered her head even more. The student spat disdainfully and left without looking back. "You're always the last one to leave the classroom. Wouldn't Ni Rupin feel lonely facing such a spacious and quiet academy all by herself? Did he have to put himself in such a lowly position?" Yiqing Luo had been walking on a high-class status since young, so she simply couldn't understand this kind of feeling. She frowned and pulled Ni Rupin's wrist with a sullen face. "Let's go to the training ground." Yiqing Luo's strength was extremely strong and Ni Rupin couldn't struggle free at all. "Student Yi." "No. I'll wait a while more." Ni Rupin was forcefully pulled up as she pleaded in a hoarse voice. Chapter 277. Yiqing Luo's forehead was filled with black lines. Damn it. Why did it feel as though she was the one bullying Ni Ruopan? "Student Yi, leave first, don't bother about me. I'll be fine on my own." Ni Ruopan sniffled, but her tears kept flowing down uncontrollably. She swung Yiqing Luo's hand which was holding her, while the other hand wiped her tears. Yiqing Luo's brows creased even tighter. Those students who were intending to leave all stopped as they gathered around to watch the show. "Tell me first, why are you crying?" Yiqing Luo let go of Ni Ruopan's wrist as she frowned as she asked. Ni Ruopan suppressed her sobs as she wiped her tears fiercely. I don't want to cry. Can crying solve the problem? Will your cowardice make those people sympathize with you? Putting yourself in such a lowly position, will you be happy?" Yiqing Luo directly interrupted her sobbing words as she bombarded her with questions. Ni Ruopan's hand which was wiping her tears paused as she looked at Yiqing Luo with teary eyes. No. You're not happy." Yiqing Luo replied to her own question, word by word. Following that, she gave a cold snort. "Even if you cry to death here, no one will feel heartache for you. Your cowardice will only allow others to step on your head unscrupulously, and in this way, you won't feel happy. I've said this before, no one is born a waste, unless you position yourself as a waste. Then, what you told me previously, that you want to become as strong as Tong Ziqing, is all bullshit." Ni Ruopan's eyes widened in embarrassment, especially when she heard Yiqing Luo actually set out her extravagant wish in front of all the students. She felt even more ashamed. She even felt that the surrounding students were ridiculing her for overestimating herself. "Look, you don't even dare to admit your own wish." Yiqing Luo scoffed lightly as her eyes were gradually masked with a layer of iciness. "If you continue like this, you can forget about becoming a strong person forever." Yiqing Luo had no interest to continue lecturing a hopeless Audiob. Life was chosen by oneself. If Ni Ruo Pan chose to live a waste's life, then she had to pay the same price for her choice. The weak state of mind, no one could change it. Only she herself could walk out of it. Yiqing Luo didn't bother about Ni Ruo Pan and left the classroom directly. Behind him, he could hear the laughter of the students. He could vaguely hear Ni Rupan sobbing. Yiqing Luo didn't turn back. Accepting such ridicule was Ni Ruo Pan's own choice. There was nothing she could do. She had already repaid the kindness that Ni Rupan had shown to her. She still had to rely on herself for the rest of the journey. Yiqing Luo didn't stop as she followed the route she came from and left the devil class. Just as she reached the dormitory entrance, Yiqing Luo's nose twitched and smelled a familiar fragrance. There was someone in the dormitory. Mo Yuing and Lu Xiaoyu were both people who didn't like to use fragrances, and this smell, a figure flashed across his mind. Yiqing Luo immediately pushed open the door, and indeed in the living room, she saw a lady sitting on a soft chair drinking tea. The woman's cold face had a sinister smile in her eyes. Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu, who had just stepped into the dormitory's door, originally had a complacent smile on her face, but the minute she saw that woman, her expression changed immediately. Lu Xiaoyu rushed to Yiqing Luo's side. "Qing Luo, why is she in our dormitory?" The minute she saw Lu Xiaoyu was extremely disgusted. As the vice president, she always abused her position for personal gain. Chapter 278. Lu Xiaoyu put down the teacup and stood up slowly. Her slender figure was exquisite and well-proportioned. Her cold eyes blinked a few times, her red lips curved deeper. "Student Yi, Student Lu, I am your new roommate, in future. Please take care." After the 3 words "new roommate" drilled into her ears, Lu Xiaoyu's expression froze on her face. New roommate. New room. Friend. Lu Xiaoyu was actually their new roommate. This. Could they still live happily in the future? You did it on purpose. Lu Xiaoyu was furious. What a joke, Lu Xiaoyu and Shengguan Luli were not on the same level. If Lu Xiaoyu was her new roommate, she would rather Shengguan Luli stay. At least, Shengguan Luli was easy to bully. This is the arrangement of the academy. Lu Xiaoyu said calmly, her gaze swept past Yiqing Luo. After all, we are not considered strangers, living together, it is good to interact. Bah! Interact. I think you are simply. Lu Xiaoyu had not finished her words, when Yiqing Luo grabbed her wrist. To be personally protected by the faculty council vice president, and to prevent other students from harassing the dormitory, it is my honor. Yiqing Luo smiled indifferently, there was no trace of displeasure on her face. On the contrary, Lu Xiaoyu, after listening to Yiqing Luo's words, her face sunk. Yiqing Luo's words was obviously comparing her to a guard. A guard to protect Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. Ever since Shengguan Luli was replaced, she had been quite curious about who the new roommate would be. But unfortunately, the new roommate was nowhere to be seen. Yiqing Luo had roughly guessed that this new roommate must be someone from the faculty council. But what she did not expect was that Lu Xiaoyu would personally move into the dormitory, to monitor her at close range. This was indeed. Since the establishment of the faculty council, Yiqing Luo was the only one to enjoy the special honor. Yiqing Luo concealed the deep meaning in her eyes, and stared at Lu Xiaoyu. Noticing that the badge on Lu Xiaoyu's chest had already displayed a intermediate character, a gentle smile appeared on his face. "Xiaoyu, how are you doing in intermediate profound class 2? Earlier when Lu Xiaoyu came back, her face was obviously happy. It could be seen that she was doing well on her first day in class. Thanks to these 2 days of training, I gritted my teeth and completed it with you. The headmaster praised me in front of all the students today. Lu Xiaoyu immediately ignored Lu Shuiyu. She puffed out her chest and smiled proudly. After all, he was still a child. It was a great honor to be praised by the headmaster in front of all the students. It's good that the headmaster likes us. Remember, we are new students. If we can avoid stealing the limelight, we should try our best to avoid it. Lu Xiaoyu nodded vigorously and couldn't stop smiling. What excited me the most was Shengguan Liuli. She was reprimanded by the headmaster. After entering Intermediate Profound Class 2, Shengguan Liuli used her identity as Miss Shengguan to insult Lu Xiaoyu. Before Lu Xiaoyu could retaliate, the headmaster arrived. The rule of the academy was to respect the teachers. Naturally, these teachers had developed a lofty and arrogant personality. In this heavenly academy, no matter what identity you have outside, in their eyes, you are a student. Especially today when the new students entered the class, the headmaster also had to punish the chicken to warn the monkey. He pointed at Shengguan Liuli and scolded her, and reprimanded her results in the ability assessment and the 2 days of training. In front of all the students, he directly questioned whether Shengguan Liuli was like Yi Qingling during the ability assessment, using other things to enhance her own strength. During the freshman training, her true colors were revealed. Chapter 279. Lu Xiaoyu had thought that since Shengguan Liuli had stuffed a lot of gifts into the teacher's hands, she would definitely be ostracized in the Intermediate Profound Class 2. He didn't expect the academy to be so noble. Yi Qing Luo saw her delighted look as she laughed lightly. Lu Shuiyu, who had been ignored, saw that the two of them were having a good time and laughed happily. As for herself, after Yi Qing Luo's counterattack, she was humiliated and returned to the faculty council, but was punished by Si Yanmu and almost demoted. Lu Shuiyu's heart was burning with rage. Speaking of which, how is student Ye's taste in the devil class? Don't you think that place suits you very well? Lu Shuiyu sneered and said in a strange tone. The sharp and cold voice was extremely ear-piercing. Lu Xiaoyu furrowed her brows and glared at Lu Shuiyu in disgust. Why are you so annoying? The reason why Qing Luo would go to the devil class, you know it better than anyone else. I'm just a vice president. I can't interfere with the decisions of the elder council. Lu Shuiyu gave a light humph as her eyes were filled with ridicule towards Yi Qing Luo. Isn't student Yi very powerful? Then go to the elders department and ask the elder to change shifts for you. I'm sure student Yi has the ability to do so. Yi Qing Luo's lips curled up into a faint smile as she casually swept a glance at Lu Shuiyu. I'm rather thankful to the academy for allocating me to the devil class. That place is indeed suitable for me. If not for Lu Shuiyu, if not for Elder Yunxiang, she would not have barged into the mysterious devil class. Compared to the high profound class or the class of gods, she would rather stay in the crouching tigers and hidden dragons devil class. Yi Qing Luo totally believed that in the future, the devil class would absolutely surpass the class of gods and become the most powerful class in the heavenly academy. Lu Shuiyu didn't seem to have expected that she wanted to use the devil class to ridicule Yi Qing Luo, but Yi Qing Luo totally didn't mind that she was allocated to the devil class. Originally he thought that Yi Qing Luo didn't resist going to the devil class, and even spouted out a lot of logic, but it was just to cover up the embarrassment and humiliation of going to the devil class. But at this moment, Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards, and that touch of confidence in her eyes. Her words were indeed from the bottom of her heart. Lu Shuiyu's cold and elegant face instantly turned ashen as she stared at Yi Qing Luo's exquisite jade-like complexion. The vicious glint in her eyes became increasingly piercingly cold. She snorted coldly, flicked her sleeves, turned around, and walked towards her room. Ha ha ha, want to fight with Qing Luo, in your next life. Lu Xiaoyu saw Lu Shuiyu leaving in anger and stuck out her tongue at her back view. Lu Xiaoyu didn't stop laughing until Lu Shuiyu's door was slammed shut. She held on to Yiqing Luo's arm. Are you really not going to ask the elders to switch to the high profound class? Even if it's the intermediate profound class, devil class that place. It's good there. Yiqing Luo interrupted Lu Xiaoyu's words as her curly long lashes fluttered at an indifferent frequency. I will not mistreat myself, and teacher Gue, you will go and teach the devil class, so don't worry. Lu Xiaoyu pursed her lips. I heard that Master Gue you had applied to the elder quarters to be the master of devil class, but was rejected by Elder Yunxiang. Elder Yunxiang again. Why did she feel that this elder had been targeting her? But other than Elder Yunxiang, the other elders probably wouldn't agree to it. Teacher Gue you wanted to go to the devil class to be a master, but it was very difficult for him to pass the academy's hurdle. Yiqing Luo couldn't understand Teacher Gue Yu's status in the academy, but she was very clear that if Teacher Gue Yu were to teach the class of gods, it would be more than enough. Such a powerful figure, to let him teach the waste class which even the academy had given up, wouldn't that be wasting God's gift? Chapter 280. Master Gue Yu directly went to look for the director. I wonder what the outcome of the negotiation is. Lu Xiaoyu told Yiqing Luo about the news that she had heard. Yiqing Luo recalled Gue Yu's gloomy expression when she mentioned the director. He obviously wasn't willing to meet the director. But in order to be a teacher in the devil class, he took the initiative to look for the director. A surge of warmth started to spread in her heart. Yiqing Luo's brows revealed a sliver of gentleness. I know. As soon as she finished speaking, her expression changed slightly, and a familiar smell seemed to seep into her nose. Her eyes flickered slightly as she smiled. All right, take a rest first. I'll treat you to dinner at the canteen tonight. Hearing about treating, Lu Xiaoyu's eyes shone brightly. Then it's decided. Sending Lu Xiaoyu back to her room with her eyes, Yiqing Luo then turned around and walked towards her own room. The minute she entered the room, that elegant sandalwood smell was even more intense. She saw a tall and slender figure lying on that big bed. His jet black long hair flowed down like smoke, as it scattered on the mattress. His purple long robe was like a mysterious mandala flower blooming. His chest intentionally revealed a large portion of his chest muscles, adding an eye-catching demonic charm. On that handsome face, those sparkling peach blossom eyes squinted, faintly bringing out a sliver of electric current feeling. Dmo Xian, why was he here? Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly stopped, as if a hand was pinching her heart. In her mind, the words she said this morning when they parted suddenly surfaced. Dmo Xian, do you like me? The next time we meet, I'll be waiting for your answer. Her cheeks floated two bunches of red. Yiqing Luo thought that after this farewell, they would not meet for a long period of time. After all, that answer, Dmo Xian should not be able to answer her immediately. But, that evening, he came. Had he brought his answer? Yiqing Luo felt nervous for no reason. He just laid there, bewitching peach blossom eyes, smiling as he gazed at Yiqing Luo. She just stood at the door, staring at Dmo Xian without blinking. That pair of eyes was like a deep pool, just one look and one would sink into it. Drip, drip, the sound of water dripping was especially clear in the silent room. When Yiqing Luo regained her senses, she heard the sound of water dripping. Looking in the direction of the voice, he saw a bamboo pole in the corner of the room. A greenish-white academy uniform hung from it, as well as a set of undergarments that were dripping wet. Instantly, Yiqing Luo felt as though she was in a mess. Damn it! Was she dreaming? Or was there something wrong with his eyes? When did she wash her uniform and undergarments? She remembered that after she came back from training, she took a shower. She didn't have the time to wash her clothes, so she soaked them in the wooden bucket. How could it be, washed clean and hung neatly? Yiqing Luo's mouth twitched a few times as she turned her head stiffly to look at Dmo Xian. It's just that you. She could not ask any more questions. He really could not imagine the scene of the high and mighty Di Zun rolling up his sleeves and washing his clothes. It was so beautiful that one could not bear to look at it. Dmo Xian propped himself up as his brows rose slightly, his long and narrow eyes outlined a devilish arc. Why can't I help Lil Luo, or wash her clothes? It was indeed him. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened as it was filled with disbelief. Washing clothes was one thing. But even the undergarments. Chapter 281. You didn't sleep for the entire night and went through extra training early in the morning, you should be very tired. Dmo Xian flipped over and got down from the bed, his purple robe fluttering in the wind, leaving behind a gorgeous shadow. That peerless face of his didn't reveal any unnaturalness at all. As though washing Yiqing Luo's clothes was an extremely normal thing to do. In just a few steps, Dmo Xian had already stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. That whiff of sandalwood fragrance almost made Yiqing Luo intoxicated. You. Yiqing Luo's eyes sparkled as her heart pounded furiously. Because he was afraid that she was too tired, so he washed her clothes for her. Had he done such a thing before? Did his action of washing her clothes represent that he already had an answer in his heart? Her words were not able to complete. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly leaned forward as she fell into Dmo Xian's arms. The next second, the man's arm wrapped around her waist tightly. Lil Luo, the question you asked me this morning, I've thought about it for a long time. Dmo Xian's hoarse voice rang beside her ear. Long? Was this considered long? This concerned their future, even a lifetime's matter, even if it was considered for a few days, or even a few months, it was very normal. Dmo Xian's long arm tightened a little, his scorching breath almost stuck to Yiqing Luo's neck. After thinking about it, I still follow my initial thoughts. In love, he didn't know how to beat around the bush, nor did he need to beat around the bush. This kind of question dragged on for a long time, would only make the other party's imagination run wild. Lil Luo, I don't know what's called love a person. Dmo Xian squinted his peach blossom eyes, his voice bewitching, deep and husky, intoxicating one's heart. His 5 fingers grabbed Yiqing Luo's little hand, forcefully inserted into the gaps of her fingers, 10 fingers interlocked. Yiqing Luo's heart pounded violently, as her breathing became hurried. Dmo Xian's words, she indistinctly understood the meaning behind it. Her pink lips trembled, her voice was dry and slightly nervous. I also don't understand this kind of feeling. It was because he did not understand that when he faced Dmo Xian, his heart that was beating wildly would reflexively accelerate. Because she didn't understand, after getting used to Dmo Xian's hugs, touches, kisses, and even falling asleep beside him, that ambiguous feeling started to accumulate bit by bit. Yiqing Luo was not one to procrastinate. Even in the face of love, it was the same. She had lived 2 lives, but she had never experienced such a thing. She had spent her life in a storm of blood, fighting, and killing. But after all, she was a woman. Towards this mysterious and unfathomable man who was so strong that he could destroy the heavens and earth with a flick of his finger, there was no doubt that Yiqing Luo's heart was moved. So, what's your answer? Yiqing Luo looked up. The man's smooth jawline came into view. A hint of hesitation appeared on that peerless face of his. He furrowed his brows, feeling extremely uneasy. It was obvious that Dmo Xian was nervous. Aware of this, Yiqing Luo's brows flowed with a shallow gentleness. Her pair of charming eyes were filled with smiling intent, as the lines of her beautiful face became even more bewitching and gentle. "Dmo Xian, give me your answer." She opened her mouth once again, as her enchanting eyes overflowed with some banter and ridicule. She stretched out her hand, as it circled around Dmo Xian's neck, while the other hand's fingertip followed his brows, tracing his contours. Dmo Xian's lips curled up slightly, as his pitch-black pupils reflected Yiqing Luo's face. She was charming and lovely, her peerless beauty was unparalleled. It was all in his eyes, presenting the most beautiful picture. Chapter 282. Yiqing Luo's hair fell on Dmo Xian's chest, entwining with him tightly. "You asked me this morning if I like you." The man's voice was blurred between his teeth. He kissed her and released Yiqing Luo, giving her another light peck. Then he placed his head on Yiqing Luo's neck. The scorching breath, the thin lips brushed past Yiqing Luo's skin, causing her delicate body to tremble. "I have been thinking about this question for the whole day, asking my heart repeatedly." Dmo Xian's voice was languid, with a hint of nervousness. "There has never been anyone who could lead my thoughts, who could linger in my heart." Dmo Xian's lips curled up, his finger stroked Yiqing Luo's swollen pink lips. His finger, with a scorching temperature, ignited Yiqing Luo's lips. "After I go back today, in my eyes, mind and heart, it will be filled with your figure." The whole day, Dmo Xian thought about it for the whole day. His mind was filled with Yiqing Luo's figure. He even thought that if he didn't like Yiqing Luo would definitely keep a distance from him. By then, Yiqing Luo would throw herself into someone else's arms. Just a picture, Dmo Xian's chest was filled with a raging fire, his heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys had a feeling of exploding. He absolutely would not allow a second man to appear by Yiqing Luo's side. This kind of thought, didn't it precisely prove his heart? "I can't wait for a moment, after I realize this feeling, I can't wait to hold you in my arms." Dmo Xian's face rubbed twice on Yiqing Luo's neck. If this wasn't love, Dmo Xian could totally put this matter behind him after he and Yiqing Luo separated. But Yiqing Luo's question, and the answer that Yiqing Luo wanted, was replayed in his mind, word by word. There was no intention to stop at all. This was the first time in Dmo Xian's life, he couldn't control his own heart. "This is your answer." Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips, both hands cupped his face. "You don't regret it?" The gap between them was too big. If they were together, they would definitely face a lot of disputes and obstructions in the future. "I never regret what I do." Dmo Xian's peerlessly handsome face stuck to her fair little hand, "Especially towards you, I have no regrets." His large palm held onto Yiqing Luo's little hand as a pair of glistening eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. "Moreover, you don't have the chance to regret. From the moment I asked that question, I have no intention of regretting it." Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly, her eyes were filled with determination. "We don't know much about each other, and we haven't spent a lot of time together. However, if we make this decision, we'll have plenty of time to get to know each other, and walk into each other's worlds." Dmo Xian's long and narrow brows narrowed slightly, outlining a devilish curve. His pitch-black pupils gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. That delicate and lovely face was full of amorous feelings. That pair of eyes were filled with determination. It was as if one could feel boundless hope just by looking into them. The smile in Dmo Xian's eyes deepened and the lines on his face turned gentler. This was the woman he fancied. She was not pretentious at all. If he liked her, then he liked her. If he didn't like her, then he would cut it off immediately. Such a woman with such character, how could he not like her, how could he not love her? Lil Luo, is handing over the rest of her life to me. Chapter 283. Yiqing Luo's body softened in Dmo Xian's arms. Her cheeks were flushed and her eyes overflowed with a smile, enchanting like a flower. Since I chose to believe you and choose to be with you, I have also thought about the future. This kind of relationship, perhaps to Yiqing Luo, was a little too fast. But at least, she took the initiative to take the first step for this relationship. Even if she really died in the future, she would not regret it. She and Dmo Xian did not spend too much time together. But every time, Dmo Xian was able to make her heart beat faster. Dmo Xian's eyes were deep as his palm caressed her delicate face. You'd better think carefully. If you're entangled by me, you'll never be able to escape the love net that I've set for you in this lifetime. I will gladly endure hardship. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile. A pair of soft hands had already wrapped around Dmo Xian's neck. Hooking him downwards, she took the initiative to offer her red lips. However, in the next second, Yiqing Luo was turned around. Her body suddenly fell backwards as Dmo Xian's warm and rough kiss landed fiercely on her lips. The elegant sandalwood fragrance overflowed, almost making Yiqing Luo faint. Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes, unnaturally fluttered, covered with a layer of hazy feeling. Her heart missed a few beats, throbbing incessantly. This kind of intimacy, this kind of kiss, was not the first time she and Dmo Xian had. But this time, it made Yiqing Luo's whole body go limp. Her eyes were like silk, her mind was a blank, intoxicated in this kiss, unable to extricate herself. Was it because the relationship between them, from ambiguous, had become open and aboveboard? The change of the state of mind, the feeling of the kiss, was not the same. The two of them were intimate until it was nearing the time of the canteen's opening. Dmo Xian then reluctantly loosened his arms around Yiqing Luo's delicate body, his face full of resentment. Oh yes, Dmo Xian, our relationship. Can we keep it a secret for now? Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and said, I want to rely on my own strength, to stand at the same height as you, side by side with you to look at the prosperous times. Although she had confirmed the relationship with Dmo Xian, but Yiqing Luo still hoped that her own cultivation path would still proceed according to her own plan. If she had Dmo Xian's protection, she would indeed be able to lead a peaceful life without any worries. But in her bones, she was burning with the hot blood of an adventurer. Ordinary days did not suit her. What Yiqing Luo wanted was to have the taste of standing by Dmo Xian's side one day, and not to blindly follow behind Dmo Xian, protected by him. Good. Dmo Xian's heart was deeply moved. Yiqing Luo saying these words was within his expectations. However, he was still deeply shaken. Since ancient times, no matter how high a woman's Xian rank was, or how talented she was in cultivation, after marriage, she would treat her husband as the sky, and be the woman behind her husband's family. And his little Luo heir had to stand by his side and walk side by side with him. Dmo Xian, who was about to leave, abruptly turned back and stretched out his long arms, pulling Yiqing Luo into a tight embrace. I believe that this day won't take long. I will wait for you. Yiqing Luo pushed him. You should leave first. After all, this is the academy. If you are discovered by others, it would cause a commotion. Dmo Xian pursed his thin lips. His fingertips brushed the long hair on Yiqing Luo's cheek to the side of her ear. What did you forget to call me again? Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped slightly. It's just a form of address. No need to be so serious. Chapter 284. Would she die if she didn't mention her underwear? Yiqing Luo blushed. This man didn't allow her to say anything and just washed her clothes. Forget about washing the uniform, a lady's personal belongings. He actually washed them too. She had yet to settle the score with him, and he dared to use this matter to block her. Yiqing Luo raised her fist and pounded on Dmo Xian's chest, gritting her teeth as she gave a snort. If you can't call my name, then call me husband. Husband. Dmo Xian accurately caught Yiqing Luo's fist and placed it in front of his chest as his lips curled into a teasing arc. Damn. Simply too shameless. Yiqing Luo's eyes twitched as she heard Lu Xiaoyu's call from outside the door. She gritted her teeth and spat out 2 words, "Oh." Xian. Why did it feel that every time she called his name, she was being forced? These 2 words just spilled out from Yiqing Luo's pink lips. Her body, which was tightly wrapped in his warm embrace, suddenly felt light. In front of her, Dmo Xian's figure had disappeared. She chased a few steps forward and walked to the half-opened window as she stuck her head out. Outside the window, there were only a few female students walking by. She didn't see Dmo Xian's tall and slender figure. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze as both her hands rested on the window sill as she looked down absent-mindedly. Her fair little hand slowly pressed down on her heart. Her heart was thumping, the frequency of its beating had not slowed down because of Dmo Xian's departure. Dmo Xian's sandalwood scent lingered in the air. What remained on her body was Dmo Xian's scorching heat. Condensing her own palms, she could still vaguely feel the touch of Dmo Xian holding her little hand. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but burst out laughing. She had been instilled with the concept not to fall in love with anyone since a long time ago. Her existence was to carry forward the Yi family, this hidden family, and to work hard to contribute to the country. She had no right to talk about love. She had never thought that there would be such a day, like a little girl, lost because of a man's departure. Qing Luo. Qing Luo, are you asleep? Lu Xiaoyu called out from outside the door. Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses as her slender fingers clenched tightly. I'm here. She straightened her clothes, walked over quickly, and opened the door. Lu Xiaoyu stood at the door, and when she saw Yiqing Luo coming out, she heaved a sigh of relief. Just now student Mo told me that you've arranged to meet at 5 p.m. and it's almost 5 p.m. Mo Yuying. Yiqing Luo's brows rose slightly as she glanced at Mo Yuying's room door. The door was still tightly shut. Student Mo has already left. Lu Xiaoyu patted Yiqing Luo's shoulder. Today's meal is off, I'll treat you again next time. Regarding Mo Yuying's identity, everyone in the academy knew that she was a student of the devil class. Otherwise, Shangguan Liuli, who was a new student, wouldn't have changed her attitude the moment she saw Mo Yuying, and even tried to make a move on her. Lu Xiaoyu felt that now that Yiqing Luo had entered the devil class, she would be Mo Yuying's classmate. For Mo Yuying to meet Yiqing Luo, it was definitely because of devil classes matters. Yiqing Luo recalled that Xiao Jin mentioned that the devil class's students had to report to the training grounds at 5 p.m. Yiqing Luo nodded her head as she walked directly towards the devil class's direction. To Yiqing Luo, she was already a part of the devil class. Towards group activities, she tried her best not to be absent, so she wouldn't be absent. When she reached the devil class, she walked towards the bleak outer courtyard with ease. Just as she stood at the second door, Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her nostrils picked up a whiff of medicinal herb smell. Chapter 285. In the afternoon when Yiqing Luo reported to the devil class, this door was smeared with an extremely light and refreshing herbal scent. At this moment, the smell of the medicine was a little pungent. So pungent that her head was aching faintly. She suddenly recalled that afternoon when she casually mentioned to change the suggestion of just smelling it. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched a few times. It was really accepted. But this smell was too obvious. Yiqing Luo covered her nose with one hand and held her feather fan with the other, intending to use her profound qi to push open the door which was smeared with medicine. Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, there were a few crisp claps in his ears. Someone's there. Yi-Ching Luo turned her head sharply. Behind her, a lady dressed in a lake green long dress was raising her hand and applauding. That lady's long dress was wrapped with a same-color gauze waistband and there were a few embroidered pouches hanging from it. Her dress was layered and when she walked, she looked like a fluttering butterfly. The lady had a simple hair bun and the jade hairpin made her look even more elegant and noble. I heard from the assistant class monitor that the new student in Devil class knows how to refine medicine and her ability isn't small. I thought he was bragging but I didn't expect. You actually have some skills. The lady's clear voice was like pearls falling on a plate, extremely pleasant to the ears. As the lady walked closer, a pleasant herbal scent floated over. Yi-Ching Luo seemed to have thought of something as she retracted the vigilance in her eyes and laughed lightly. In front of the young matriarch of the divine doctor family, this little ability of mine is nothing. It's just that my nose is more sensitive than ordinary people. You know me. Hearing Yi-Ching Luo accurately state her identity, the lady revealed an astonished expression. You deal with medicinal herbs all year round, so there will be remnants of herbal scent on your body. Yi-Ching Luo pointed at her own nose. According to my understanding, the only person in Devil class who deals with medicinal herbs is one of the members of the class committee, Bei Ming Lulu. Indeed, an outstanding sense of smell. Bei Ming Lulu's eyes revealed some probing. It's rare that there's an alchemist in Devil class. If you're free, we can discuss it together. Yi-Ching Luo nodded. She was just a half-baked alchemist, while Bai Ming Lulu had been well-versed in medical books since childhood, and was also known as the young master genius doctor with a magical hand that could bring the dying back to life. In terms of alchemy, she had quite a high attainment. She could also take the opportunity to ask about how to refine the elixir to repair Ziling's legs. It's almost 5 p.m. You should go in first. Bai Ming Lulu took out a handkerchief and wiped the ointment on the door before pushing open the second courtyard door. There were already many students standing on the training ground. Some were warming up, while others were chatting at the side. It was very lively. The minute Yi-Ching Luo entered, there was a moment of silence on the training ground. But soon, the students shifted their gazes, and the commotion resumed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiao Yi stood at one end of the training ground and after seeing Yi-Ching Shan, Qiao Jin walked over. Yi-Ching Luo, you've just joined the class and although you've joined the class committee, but for the students' training, you'll have to temporarily participate in it for a period of time. The class committee of the Devil class did not need to participate in the training together with the students. Their main task was to keep an eye on the students who were training, and to correct the students' mistakes in training, as well as to guide them. But Yi-Ching Luo was a newcomer. Although she had defeated Dan Bai Shi and Tong Ziqing the moment she arrived, but the students in the class were still unconvinced of her. Chapter 286. Sure. Yi-Ching Luo agreed without any hesitation. She still needed more training to consolidate this body's foundation. Another round of training would absolutely be helpful to her. Qiao Jin nodded and returned to the training grounds, observing the other students. Yi-Ching Luo had no interest in interacting with the others. Those students were curious and afraid of Yi-Ching Luo, so under the situation where they didn't understand her, they naturally wouldn't initiate a conversation. Yi-Ching Luo was happy to be alone as she walked to a corner and waited for the training to start. Get up and continue. Waste, you're the most waste in the entire class. Don't drag us down. Before she could steady herself, she heard an ear-piercing mocking laughter. Get up quickly. Someone stretched out his leg to kick her. A lady's dull moan was heard, bearing with the pain and sobbing tone, not daring to make a sound. Yi-Ching Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked over. She saw 7 to 8 students forming a circle beside the weapons rack. There were 2 students who raised their legs, kicking the person who was surrounded. School violence, class violence was really everywhere. Ugh! Don't hit me, I'll run right away, I'll run right away. The lady kept on sobbing, drawing in cold breaths in pain. This voice. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly as her gaze fixed on those students. Indeed, she saw that the lady who was surrounded by everyone was Ni Ruo Pan. She cut a sorry figure as her uniform was pulled into a mess, and her figure was so skinny that it seemed as though she wouldn't be able to stand steadily and fall onto the ground in the next second. Ni Ruo Pan climbed up and apparently saw Yiqing Luo. She went into a slight daze and immediately lowered her head, supporting her tottering body as she ran past her. Her steps were staggering as she ran step by step with great difficulty. She hadn't run for a few steps when she fell onto the ground again. Coincidentally, she fell right beside Yiqing Luo's feet. Ni Ruo Pan's eyes were red as she bit her lower lip tightly, not daring to look at Yiqing Luo. Whereas those 7 to 8 students, on seeing Ni Ruo Pan fall once again, all of them started to laugh as they walked over. I already said this waste can't run more than a few steps. Waste is waste, she can't even run 2 rounds of the training grounds. Why do you think this kind of trash is still in the devil class? He's basically dragging down our collective standard. Yiqing Luo heard these people's malicious words and lowered her head to look at Ni Ruo Pan, whose head was hung low, sobbing softly but not daring to rebuke at all. Her heart felt a burst of vexation. She frowned and took a few steps to the side. The students gathered around Ni Ruo Pan again and continuously ridiculed and insulted her. Yiqing Luo gazed at Qiao Jin. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi didn't seem surprised at all, as if they were already used to the students' class violence towards Ni Ruo Pan. No matter where it was, strength ruled, and the weak were prey to the strong. It was the same for the devil class. The students taunted and cursed excitedly. Some students even pulled out a metal rod from the weapons rack at the side. The student played with the iron rod in his hand and laughed, "Get out of the way. This trash has no motivation without pressure. Watch me lead her to run 2 laps." The students roared with laughter and took a few steps back. Ni Ruo Pan turned her head away in fear. Her eyes were filled with tears. "No. I'll run. I'll run. Seeing how strenuous it is for you to run, I'll supervise you from the back. I'll absolutely let you run 2 laps easily." Ha ha ha. The student holding the iron rod laughed out loud. Chapter 287. The momentum of this strike wasn't ferocious. After all, they were classmates, and if he really killed Ni Ruo Pan, Long Yunzhan would absolutely not let him off. But if this strike landed on Ni Ruo Pan, she would probably not be able to get up for several days. The crowd of students had an expression as though they were used to it as they crowded around to watch the show. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The person holding the iron rod was sent flying like a kite with a broken string before the rod could even land on him. They saw a slender figure standing beside Ni Ruo Pan, with a burst of profound wave beneath her feet. Apparently, she was the one who struck out and sent the student holding the metal rod flying. The few students who were crowding around revealed an unhappy expression. "Student Yi, she doesn't need your good intentions, why do you keep helping her?" Towards Yiqing Luo, the students didn't feel close to her. Especially when they found out that she was only a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator, they were filled with disdain. But after all, she was the class monitor's appointed committee member, so they couldn't be as obvious as how they treated Ni Ruo Pan. Yiqing Luo looked down at Ni Ruo Pan, who was lying on the ground sobbing, as she couldn't conceal the impatience in between her brows. "Get up." She didn't want to make a move. But looking at Ni Ruo Pan's terrified expression, and recalling that afternoon, Ni Ruo Pan was obviously afraid but still stubbornly stood out to speak up for her. She still made a move to save Ni Ruo Pan. And the most important point was, she really couldn't stand this kind of fellow who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Ni Ruo Pan curled up on the ground. Her face was filled with embarrassment and shame. If you know how to be embarrassed, then get up right now. Yiqing Luo's brows creased tightly as she berated sternly, here, acting pitiful, no one cares about you. Ni Ruo Pan's eyes were filled with tears as she stared at Yiqing Luo in disbelief, as though she couldn't understand what she meant by acting pitiful. Yiqing Luo sneered, yellow profound 6th grade is considered low. To be able to pass Heavenly Academy's entrance assessment is considered trash. Putting on a look of a weakling all day long, just dropping a few tears to gain sympathy. I'm telling you, this will only make these people look down on you even more, ridicule and humiliate you even more. His sonorous and forceful voice struck the hearts of the students one by one. That student who was flung away by Yiqing Luo got up with the help of the other students, as his eyes were filled with astonishment. Didn't Yiqing Luo want to help Ni Ruo Pan? Why is he reprimanding Ni Rupan now? Don't be so full of yourself, Ni Rupan sobbed. She curled up her body and bit her lower lip. Even though you're only at the yellow mystic realm, you're so powerful. You're an expert, and you're also highly regarded by the class monitor. I don't have anything, you don't have the right to say that about me. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and tears welled up in her eyes. I'm not qualified. Yiqing Luo sneered as her vision swept across the surrounding students. I'm sure everyone knows that I'm Three Springs sect's young matriarch Yiqing Luo. The students were stunned for a moment and suddenly understood the reason why Yiqing Luo asked this question. Yes. How could Yiqing Luo not be qualified? In the past 15 years, Yiqing Luo was synonymous with waste. As a member of Three Springs sect, other than possessing a heaven-defying profound jade heart which was worthy of others' envy, she was a waste without any cultivation foundation. Especially after that, there were rumors that her profound jade heart had been dug out. She was more qualified than anyone else to say these words. Ni Ruo Pan also reacted, as her tightly biting lower lip loosened up slightly. That's right, Yiqing Luo was a waste for 15 years. But now, she was standing right in front of her, and was regarded as a strong expert by herself. Chapter 288. I've never thought of myself as trash. That's why I can stand here and call myself your expert. When she mentioned the word strong, Yiqing Luo's tone was filled with ridicule. Soon after, her tone softened as she spoke in an indifferent tone. These people were once the trash that was ridiculed by others. They also shed tears as they begged those so-called experts to let them go. Do you think that if you cry, beg for mercy, show weakness, and humble yourself, they will let you go? Ni Rupan shuddered. Her widened eyes were filled with an unusual emotion. She propped herself up as she knelt on the ground, as her mind kept reverberating with Yiqing Luo's words. Would it? I won't. These people had no sympathy for anyone. Even if she was on the verge of death, these people would still mock and humiliate her. Ever since she entered the devil class, she had always been alone. Because of this, when he saw Yiqing Luo, who was also a freshman coming to class, and saw Yiqing Luo being insulted by Tong Ziqing, he subconsciously didn't want the freshman to receive such treatment. Such days were too bitter and tiring. She couldn't take it anymore. Yiqing Luo calmly looked at Ni Ruo Pan, who was hugging her knees in silence, as her vision slowly shifted towards the group of students who were watching a good show. Her charming eyes were like a sharp blade. When her gaze swept past, it was as if a sharp blade had pierced into the flesh. Under that pair of eyes, the students, who were originally smiling playfully, all became serious. And you guys? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. Before you guys came to devil class, weren't you all trash as well? The expressions of the surrounding students changed. This was the past which they all wanted to bury, and now that Yiqing Luo had dug it out in the open, their gazes revealed an ominous glint as they stared at Yiqing Luo. In the past, you were also treated like how you treated Ni Rupin, right? Yiqing Luo directly ignored their gazes as her lips curled into a ridiculing arc, the feeling of being ridiculed, being looked down upon. You all understand it best, isn't it? The students clenched their fists, their faces as dark as charcoal. In the crowd, a student angrily retorted, "Let bygones be bygones. Now, we are not worse than anyone else. None of us are useless. No one can mock us." Exactly. That's all in the past. Now, no one can mock us. We don't need to understand that feeling. With one student taking the lead, the others immediately followed suit. With the help of the class monitor, they finally got rid of the title of trash and got rid of that miserable life. No one wanted to be reminded of their past downfall. The surrounding students were in a hubbub, but Yiqing Luo still maintained her cold smile. It was until those students who were filled with righteous indignation started to quiet down when Yiqing Luo started to laugh softly. Her eyes were enchanting, and her gaze was filled with disdain. Did you find comfort by mocking Ni Rupin? In that case, what's the difference between you and those who once mocked you? What right do you have to hate those who once mocked you? The surrounding students were stunned. Their faces that were originally filled with anger gradually turned into astonishment. That was right. What was the difference between them and those who had once humiliated them? When they saw how useless Ni Rupin was, they wanted to humiliate her. Did he really find comfort in this way? No, not at all. Looking at Ni Rupin's submissive look, not only was there no excitement in their hearts, they were even more infuriated. Chapter 289. This feeling, all of you know best. It's because you've all suffered such treatment. Shouldn't you be more united, giving her a little more heartache and concern? Help her. Seeing everyone's stunned and complicated expressions, Yiqing Luo slowed down her tone. But in her words, that awe-inspiring power still existed. Yiqing Luo was very clear about these people's mentality. These people had treated Ni Ruopan as their past self. The more they swallowed their anger, the more they hated themselves in the past, so the more ruthless they were towards Ni Ruopan. If she can't complete the training, you have many ways to let her complete it. Yiqing Luo continued, with your help, she completed the training. This redemption is not only for Ni Ruopan, but also for the past you. Well said. A clear voice was heard from the other end of the training ground. Long Yunjian was seen with his hands behind his back, strolling over. He was dressed in a blue long robe, which matched that pair of azure blue eyes perfectly. That handsome face was expressionless and indifferent. On the training ground, everyone shut their mouths because of Long Yunjian's arrival. Even their breathing became careful. Long Yunjian walked to the side of the training ground and stood beside Qiao Jin. His azure blue eyes gazed at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Class monitor. The students immediately lined up properly, bowing respectfully towards Long Yunjian. Ni Ruopan, who was sitting on the ground in a daze, also hurriedly stood up. She had been lying on the ground for too long, and with this sudden stand-up, Ni Ruopan's footsteps were unstable, as she fell down again. Yiqing Luo supported her in time, as she steadily caught her. Thank you. Ni Ruopan bit her lips, as her eyelids drooped down. Knowing shame means that there's still hope. Yiqing Luo steadied her, as she said calmly, these people were once looked down upon, low-leveled cultivators. They can abandon their past, to become strong, why can't you? Ni Ruopan's lips trembled, as that pair of weak eyes suddenly became firm. Sorry, I know. She took a deep breath, as she forcefully propped up her body, as she slowly moved Yiqing Luo's arm away. Even though her entire body was in pain, and she couldn't stand properly, but she still clenched her teeth as she walked to the back of the team. This was the first step she decided to take. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and was about to join the line when she discovered that all the students' eyes were fixed on her. What the hell was going on? Why was everyone looking at her like that? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she realized that the reason why everyone was looking at her was because Long Yunzhan stared at her, his gaze never shifting away. As though noticing that Yiqing Luo had flown into a rage out of embarrassment, Long Yunzhan shifted his vision away. Long Yunzhan didn't look at Yiqing Luo, and the other students naturally followed his line of sight. When they looked at Long Yunzhan, their eyes revealed unconcealable admiration. Student Ye's words are very well said. Long Yunzhan's expression was calm, but circles of ripples appeared in his azure blue eyes. This is also the idea that I have been instilling in everyone. Here, no one is trash. Even if you're allocated to the devil class, as long as you cooperate with my training, and put in the hard work, you will absolutely not be any worse than now. Saying that, Long Yunzhan's indifferent gaze fell onto Ni Ruo Pan. I've understood student Ni's situation, and because of that, my expectations aren't high. Every morning, afternoon and night, circle the training grounds twice. Just like what student Yi said, if student Ni can't complete it, then you should think of ways to help her. If student Ni is able to complete it, then compared to you using bullying methods to coerce her, force her, it should be much happier. Chapter 290. Could it be because of Yiqing Luo? If it was on usual days, the class monitor wouldn't even come to the training grounds, not to mention coming to the devil class twice in one day. And it was rare to see the class monitor echoing the other students' words. Even for Qiao Jin and the others, the class monitor might not give them any face. Damn! What was the relationship between the class monitor and this freshman? The hearts of the students began to stir. Their minds had already started to fill in the things that had to be said between the freshman and the class monitor. Alright, it's not early anymore, let's get down to business. Qiao Jin clapped his hands, indicating for the students to place their attention on him. The students immediately puffed out their chests and stood perfectly straight. I heard that half a month later, the two classes in the High Profound class will be having a class competition, and the location is set at the Heavenly Training Forest behind the academy. While Qiao Jin was speaking, the gold coin darts in his hands were thrown into the air from time to time, drawing an arc. Yiqing Luo had some impression of the Heavenly Training Forest. She had seen the introduction of the Heavenly Training Forest in the handbook. That was specially built by the academy for the students to undergo actual combat training. It had the same effect as the Magic Beast Forest. According to the level of training, it was divided into Low Profound Zone, Intermediate Profound Zone, High Profound Zone and God Zone. Every month, the academy would arrange for each class to enter the training forest to undergo actual combat training. At the end, the students with the best performance would be awarded as a form of commendation. Of course, this kind of training forest would never belong to the devil class. Hearing Qiao Jin mention about the training forest, Yiqing Luo's interest was piqued. That day, all the students will also enter the Heavenly Training Forest to undergo training. Qiao Jin's gaze suddenly turned cold. So, are you all prepared? The students' eyes suddenly lit up, revealing an excited expression. Ready. Yiqing Luo raised her brows in interest, looking at the excited faces of the students, rubbing their palms together. Obviously, it wasn't the first time the devil class's students had followed the students from other classes to enter the Heavenly Training Forest for training. According to the handbook's records, the class had to go through the elders to enter the Heavenly Training Forest. The entrance was guarded by the elders. How could the devil class's students sneak in? Are you in high spirits? Very good. The corners of Qiao Jin's mouth curled upwards. Although his face was unremarkable, it possessed a different kind of charm. Everyone, start training. Line up and start running. Let's strive to obtain an outstanding result after entering the training forest. Just as Xiao Jin finished speaking, the students who were lined up neatly in 4 rows quickly lined up and started jogging one after another. His movements were precise and consistent, as if he had practiced this countless times. Yiqing Luo saw this and couldn't help but sigh silently. This tacit understanding was simply godly. More than 50 people surrounded the training ground and started jogging. Yiqing Luo followed closely behind, running along. Having just entered these students, Yiqing Luo wasn't aware of their rhythm. Although it seemed a little rushed, but it didn't disrupt these students' rhythm. It was merely half an incense's time and Yiqing Luo had already grasped the students' running frequency, keeping up with their progress. Ni Rupin was exhausted from running earlier, and she was injured by the students, so it was extremely tiring for her to run. In less than half a round, Ni Rupin was already behind the students. But this time round, Ni Rupin wasn't like before, lying on the ground weakly after falling down. She clenched her teeth tightly as she climbed up and followed behind the students, running step by step. You're tuning in to the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.